A gifted child is defined as a child who has three characteristics. The first is precocity. That means the child has skills that emerge and develop at an earlier age than typical children, and learns much more quickly in a particular area than a typical child. And that's really probably the most obvious characteristic, and that's the one that everybody would agree on. But I would add two others. The second one is what I call a rage to master, and that means these children are incredibly intrinsically driven, motivated to master knowledge in the domain in which they have a gift. And the third characteristic is what I call marching to their own drummer. These kids are not just faster, they're also different. They don't just think faster, they think in different ways, and that means they come up with unusual ways of solving problems. And they also learn in a different way, and primarily they learn on their own. They don't need a lot of adult support or scaffolding. So those are the three characteristics that I have argued define giftedness, whether it's giftedness in the IQ academic domain, or in the arts, or in music, or in chess, or in athletics. In terms of the factors that lead to giftedness, there's a lot of debate about how much is nature and how much is nurture. There are some people who argue that it's all nurture, that all you need to do is amass a huge amount of practice in your domain. Start early and work hard, and then you can get to be very gifted. I don't agree with that view. I think that there is clearly a biological basis to giftedness, and one of the pieces of evidence for this is that you can see very unusual signs in these children at a very young age, long before they've had a chance to start working hard. I'm not denying the importance of hard work. Nobody gets to be great in anything without a lot of hard work. But as young as 1 or 2, often, you can see signs of high abilities in these children, which suggests that there is an inborn basis. Signs of giftedness differ depending on the area of gift. But so let's talk about different areas. Artistic giftedness. These children start to draw at a very young age, usually around 2, and all they want to do is draw. I've studied a child who drew the minute he got up out of bed. He drew during breakfast. He drew during school. He drew as soon as he came home. When he had children come over to play with him, he asked them to pose for him. He was consumed with drawing. You see the same kind of, and that's what I mean by rage to master. And you see the same kind of intensity of focus in, say, a math gifted child, where that child turns ordinary experience into math problems. I call it mathematizing the world. In the verbal area, these are kids who read constantly, and they often read nonfiction rather than fiction. So I guess to generalize, you see children who are intensely involved in a particular area, and they're doing that on their own. Nobody is saying, Johnny, it's now time to go do your reading. These are kids who you can't drag them away from their domain of giftedness.